like melanoma is cancer, and in a lot of conversations, people don't say melanoma cancer, they just say melanoma. And by not associating it with the word cancer, a lot of people kind of lose that realization of how dangerous and severe that diagnosis can be.
Crystal received a diagnosis for melanoma at 19 years old. With her whole life ahead of her, she was shocked to discover the cancer had progressed to stage 3. In our chat, she shares her experience of the diagnosis process, surgery, and how the disease affects her day-to-day. So Crystal, how did you find out you had melanoma?
It all started with a skin check for a mole on my arm. It had always been a freckle for about 7 years or so, even as far as I can remember. And then within a matter of a couple of weeks, it grew in size, became a lump, and it was maybe smaller than my pinky fingernail. And within weeks, it grew to same size, even bigger than my pinky fingernail. I knew that it probably wasn't normal, that my freckle was growing into a mole, into a lump. But going in to get it checked, I didn't really think that it could be melanoma. I didn't really understand even what melanoma was, so it didn't cross my mind. Wasn't something often used in my vocabulary. My mother took me to the skin clinic in Rockhampton and got it checked. The dermatologist didn't think it was anything bad, told us probably not even something to worry about, but we'd biopsy it, send it away for testing just as a precaution, just in case. And then 2 days before Christmas, the results came back and turns out it was in fact melanoma.
When you heard that result, what did you feel?
Shock was probably the biggest emotion I felt. When I first got diagnosed, I didn't really think it was possible. As far as I knew of melanoma, it was mostly an old people's thing. So as a 19-year-old, being diagnosed with melanoma was definitely a very shocking moment of my life.
Did you realise how serious it was at first?
It wasn't until after going home and sort of doing a bit of research for myself as to what melanoma even was, as to when I realised how serious it could be. Like, melanoma is cancer, and in a lot of conversations, people don't say melanoma cancer, they just say melanoma. And by not associating it with the word cancer, a lot of people kind of lose that realisation of how dangerous and severe that diagnosis can be.
And can you tell us, how widespread was the melanoma?
It was maybe within 2 weeks that I had the lymph nodes taken out and wide excision done on the location of the mole. And then the surgeon for that one had a look at my lymph nodes throughout the surgery and said they don't look bad. Like, usually people with cancer have swelling, or you can sort of notice it on the lymph nodes, which is where they usually find cancer first, as it drains fluids through your system. And sent it away. It was a textbook perfect surgery. She said everything went perfectly. And then sent those lymph nodes away, came back, and they were covered in cancer cells.
Did you start your treatment straight away?
I had a scan that week, got sent down to Brisbane for my first PET scan, and 2 days later came home, Rockhampton, for my first treatment of immunotherapy. I had to have treatment once every month, a dose, so sitting in the cancer care unit once a month for several hours. It took about 1.5 to 2 hours each time just for the dose, let alone the check-in, the talking to the nurses, going through 100 questions before every dose, because immunotherapy is quite a new treatment for cancer. They still have to make sure that nothing will change and no bad side effects will come out of it.
What was it like having immunotherapy treatment?
I had to have a cannula in my elbow area because my veins are so hard to get to that I was never able to get a cannula into my arm. So having a dosage every month with scans every 3 months through the same cannula area and blood tests in between every single appointment, I have a lot of scarring on my veins now, and sometimes it takes multiple nurses to even get a cannula in.
How are you going now?
I've gone through a year of a treatment every month, and thankfully it's going all right now. Haven't had anything show up in any scans after my last treatment.
How has having melanoma, particularly so young, affected your lifestyle?
Before my diagnosis, dancing and singing and being creative was always something that I loved to do. I've been dancing since I was 12, and it's always something that I found lots of fun, a great way to socialise and be active. After my diagnosis, I wasn't able to continue doing a lot of my passions at the same capacity that I could before. I was often holding back, trying to not hurt myself and look after myself, so I was always able to go through all of my treatments the way that I had to. Sort of always continued my classes, but after getting a treatment, like if I'd had a treatment that morning, I couldn't use that arm as much because it was all like bandaged up after the treatment. After getting a cannula for an hour, you can't do any excessive exercise or lifting or anything because obviously you've just had a needle in your arm for several hours. So I was always had to hold back and sometimes not participate in certain parts of the dance that I might have really enjoyed. And that was sort of frustrating to me.
What does the future hold for you?
My life is never going to be back to what it was. It will never be completely back to normal because I always have to keep up my personal vigilance and checking myself and still going to skin checks. That will never, ever go away. Yeah, it's just very fortunate that I have people around me that can help me live my life to my fullest as I am now, even if I can't go back to the way it was before.